In the quiet laboratories of 19th century France, a young chemist named Louis Pasteur worked with a devotion that seemed almost spiritual. The world around him was changing rapidly, factories rising, cities growing, and the pulse of the Industrial Revolution quickening. But beneath the progress, unseen enemies thrived. Disease and decay followed humanity wherever it went, striking without warning or mercy. People accepted this as fate, as part of life's mysterious design. Pasteur, however, was not content with superstition or chance. His curiosity refused to accept that sickness was a random curse. To him, every shadow had a cause, and every cause could be understood through the lens of science. Curiosity was the first fire that lit his journey. As a young man, Pasteur had no intention of transforming medicine. His passion was chemistry and the study of crystals. Yet, even in the simplest patterns of nature, he saw meaning. The asymmetry of molecules fascinated him, how something invisible to the human eye could shape the form of life itself. It was this kind of thinking, rooted in detail yet reaching toward universal truths, that became the foundation of his later discoveries. He learned to look deeper than others did, to ask questions others overlooked. Each experiment was a conversation with the unknown, and Pasteur listened carefully. The mid-19th century was an age of wonder, but also of confusion. Science was advancing, but the understanding of disease remained trapped in old beliefs. Many still held that illnesses were caused by bad air or miasmas, drifting through towns and villages. The idea that invisible living organisms could be responsible for sickness was unthinkable to most physicians. Pasteur's mind, however, was restless. He could not reconcile the inconsistency between observation and assumption. His curiosity began to challenge centuries of dogma. One of his early studies focused on fermentation, a process crucial to winemakers and brewers across France. The problem seemed simple. Wine and beer would sometimes spoil unexpectedly, turning sour despite careful preparation. Merchants blamed everything from air temperature to bad luck. Pasteur suspected something else. He began to study the sediments and residues of spoiled liquids under his microscope. What he saw changed science forever. Countless tiny organisms, living and multiplying, invisible to the naked eye, yet capable of altering entire vats of wine. From that moment, the bridge between science and health began to form. Pasteur realized that these microscopic beings were not only responsible for fermentation, but might also play a role in decay and disease. It was a bold thought, one that threatened to overturn accepted medical theories. His experiments, however, were methodical and precise. He demonstrated that by heating wine or milk to a certain temperature, the harmful microbes could be destroyed without changing the liquid's taste or value. This simple process, later known as pasteurization, became one of the most practical contributions to public health in history. His curiosity had led to a discovery that would save countless lives, long before he ever treated a single patient. But Pasteur's story was not only about discovery, it was about dedication. His commitment to his work bordered on obsession. He labored for long hours, often sacrificing his health and comfort. To him, the laboratory was a temple of truth, where the mind could wrestle with the mysteries of creation. He believed deeply that science was not just about knowledge, but about service to humanity.
The ultimate
Each experiment was an act of faith in reason and compassion. When Pasteur began his work on diseases affecting silkworms, France's silk industry was on the brink of collapse. The tiny insects that produced silk were dying in droves, their bodies covered with mysterious spots. Entire communities depended on this trade, and desperation hung over the region. Pasteur, though unfamiliar with the industry, threw himself into the problem with characteristic resolve. He examined the worms, their eggs, and their food under his microscope, comparing the healthy and the diseased. It took years of careful study, but his persistence revealed the culprit, a microscopic parasite that infected the silkworms and spread through their eggs. His recommendations for isolating and destroying infected specimens saved the silk trade and restored livelihoods to thousands of families. Here, again, the bridge between mind and muscle became visible. It was not enough to have an idea. Pasteur's discoveries mattered because he acted upon them. His intellect built the theory, but his hands steady, patient, and tireless brought it to life. He moved between the world of thought and the world of labor, uniting them in pursuit of truth. As Pasteur's reputation grew, so did the resistance he faced. The medical establishment, steeped in tradition, often dismissed his claims. To suggest that diseases were caused by invisible organisms seemed radical, even absurd. Yet Pasteur's conviction did not waver. His dedication was not fueled by pride, but by purpose. He saw the suffering caused by disease not as a mystery to be endured, but as a challenge to be understood and conquered. Each experiment became a step toward that vision, each success a victory for human health. In his quiet way, Pasteur was a revolutionary. He never wielded weapons or led armies, but his discoveries would ultimately save more lives than any general ever could. Through careful reasoning, relentless experimentation, and an unwavering belief in the power of knowledge, he built the intellectual framework that allowed medicine to move from superstition to science. Louis Pasteur's curiosity and dedication formed a bridge that connected two seemingly distant worlds, the abstract realm of microscopic life and the tangible realm of human health. Before him, the idea that invisible organisms governed the fate of nations would have seemed impossible. After him, it became undeniable. He gave humanity not just answers but a method, a way of thinking that demanded evidence, precision, and courage. Even as he aged and his body weakened after a stroke, his mind remained a force of will. Confined and partially paralyzed, Pasteur continued to work, dictating notes, guiding students, and pushing the boundaries of understanding. His curiosity had not dimmed. It burned as brightly as ever, sustained by the belief that science could and must serve humanity. The bridge he built did not end with him. It became the foundation for modern microbiology, immunology, and countless advances in medicine. His discoveries inspired generations of scientists to explore the unseen world, to fight disease not with fear, but with knowledge. His life proved that curiosity, when joined with dedication, can transform the destiny of humanity. In the echo of Pasteur's laboratory, one can still hear the hum of discovery, the sound of a mind reaching beyond its time, building connections between the mysteries of life and the needs of living. His story is not merely one of invention, but of vision. He saw that the pursuit of knowledge is an act of compassion, and that every question asked with sincerity brings us closer to understanding, healing, and hope. Louis Pasteur's legacy endures not in monuments or medals, but in every life saved by vaccination, every bottle of milk made safe by heat, and every scientist who dares to look closer at the invisible world. His bridge between mind and muscle reminds us that progress begins in thought, but lives through action, that the strength of humanity lies not only in what we know, but in what we choose to do with that knowledge. As the years passed, Louis Pasteur's work deepened in both complexity and impact. His laboratory became a symbol of human potential, a place where the unseen forces of life were slowly brought into the light. But it was his unshakable belief that knowledge should serve humanity that truly defined his bridge between science and health. Pasteur did not seek discovery for glory or wealth. He sought it for the preservation of life. His mind never rested, for he saw suffering as a challenge and ignorance as a barrier that must be broken by understanding. The world he lived in was still burdened by epidemics that seemed to appear from nowhere. Rabies, anthrax, and tuberculosis haunted the streets and farms of Europe, claiming lives with merciless efficiency. Medicine could do little but watch. Pasteur's theory of germs, once dismissed, was beginning to find support, but proof was still demanded. In his pursuit of that proof, Pasteur began one of the most daring chapters of his life, the development of vaccines. It began with anthrax, a disease that devastated livestock and farmers alike. Fields that once produced abundance were reduced to silence and loss. Pasteur, guided by his earlier discoveries about microbes, believed that he could weaken the bacteria causing the disease, transforming them from deadly agents into protectors of life. Through meticulous experimentation, he developed a method to attenuate the virulence of the microbes, essentially creating a safe version that would prepare the body to resist the real infection. In 1881, before an audience of skeptical farmers, veterinarians, and journalists, Pasteur demonstrated his findings in a public experiment that would cement his place in history. He vaccinated one group of sheep and left another unprotected. Weeks later, both groups were exposed to the anthrax bacteria. The unvaccinated animals perished, the vaccinated ones lived. The crowd watched in astonishment as science proved its power not with words, but with life itself. Pasteur had turned the abstract theory of germs into a tangible defense against death. The bridge between mind and muscle had never been stronger. Yet, his greatest test was still to come. The disease of rabies terrified the world, a gruesome infection that transformed its victims into shadows of themselves. Once symptoms appeared, there was no cure, only inevitable decline. Pasteur, though not a medical doctor, believed he could find a way to prevent the disease even after exposure. For years, he studied the virus, using animal models to develop a vaccine through careful weakening of the pathogen. His courage was matched only by his precision. Each experiment carried immense risk, yet he pressed on. In 1885, a 9-year-old boy named Joseph Meister was brought to Pasteur after being savagely bitten by a rabid dog. The child's mother begged for help. Pasteur faced an agonizing choice. His vaccine had never been tested on a human, and he was not legally authorized to practice medicine. To proceed would mean defying both convention and the possibility of failure. But to do nothing would mean allowing the boy to die. Guided by conscience and conviction, Pasteur decided to act. Over several days, he administered a series of inoculations, each dose carefully calculated. The world waited, breath held in collective suspense. Against all expectation, the boy recovered. The rabies vaccine had worked. That single act transformed Pasteur from a scientist into a global hero. Newspapers carried his name across continents. Hospitals and governments began to embrace vaccination as a weapon against disease. For the first time, humanity had found a way to fight back, not through faith or chance, but through reason and effort. Pasteur's bridge between science and health had now become a highway, connecting minds and nations in the shared pursuit of well-being. Behind his achievements, however, lay years of physical pain and exhaustion. Pasteur's earlier stroke had left him partially paralyzed, yet he refused to slow down. His assistants often found him in the lab before dawn, dictating notes with one hand while the other rested motionless by his side. His strength was no longer of the body, but of spirit. Dedication had replaced comfort, and purpose had become his sustenance. He once said, "Let me tell you the secret that has led me to my goal. My strength lies solely in my tenacity." These words captured not only his personal philosophy, but the essence of scientific pursuit itself. In the quiet of his later years, Pasteur reflected on the journey that had carried him from the study of crystals to the saving of lives. The bridge he had built between curiosity and compassion stretched farther than he could have imagined. He had not only changed medicine, he had changed how humanity understood life itself. By revealing the hidden universe of microorganisms, he had shown that even the smallest forms of life held immense power, both to harm and to heal. He taught the world that control over disease begins with understanding, and that understanding begins with curiosity, a single question daring to challenge tradition. When he passed away in 1895, France mourned not just a scientist, but a savior. His funeral was attended by statesmen, soldiers, and citizens alike. Yet perhaps the most meaningful tributes came from those whose lives had been touched by his work. The farmers whose livestock now thrived, the children spared from infection, the generations would never know the diseases that once ravaged their ancestors. Pasteur's legacy lived on not in monuments of stone, but in the quiet miracles of everyday health. Today, more than a century later, his influence still shapes the way we think about life and disease. Every vaccination, every sterile surgical instrument, every lesson in microbiology bears the imprint of his mind. The bridge he built continues to grow, connecting new branches of science, genetics, immunology, biotechnology, to the enduring goal of human well-being. It reminds us that progress is not the product of chance, but of relentless curiosity guided by moral purpose. Louis Pasteur's story teaches that the human mind is capable of immense transformation when guided by empathy and discipline. He turned curiosity into discovery and discovery into salvation. His dedication shows that science is not merely the pursuit of truth, but an act of service, a labor of both intellect and heart. The mind conceives, but it is the muscle of perseverance that brings an idea to life. The bridge between mind and muscle, as embodied by Pasteur, is more than a metaphor. It is a law of progress. Every advancement in human history has been built upon it. The spark of imagination joined with the strength of action. Pasteur showed that no barrier is insurmountable when knowledge is pursued not for power, but for the protection of life. His curiosity was the spark that illuminated the path from ignorance to understanding, and his dedication was the force that carried humanity across. As the voice of time moves forward, his name remains a quiet echo in every laboratory, hospital, and home where health is safeguarded through science. His bridge still stands, unshaken by centuries, connecting every question asked in the spirit of discovery to every life saved by its answer. Louis Pasteur proved that curiosity can be a form of compassion, and dedication a form of strength. That when the mind and the muscle unite, they do more than change the world. They preserve it. In the second half of the 19th century, the world stood at the threshold of a transformation that few could have imagined. Cities were expanding, industries were roaring, and science was beginning to challenge the ancient beliefs that had governed human understanding for centuries. In the midst of this upheaval, Louis Pasteur emerged not only as a scientist, but as a force of change, an architect of a new world where medicine would be built on evidence, not superstition. His discoveries did not simply remain confined to laboratories or universities. They reached into every home, every hospital, and every corner of daily life. reshaping the way humanity lived, worked, and understood health itself. Before Pasteur, disease was a mystery, a cruel visitor that struck without pattern or reason. Physicians could only guess at its causes, often resorting to treatments as dangerous as the illnesses themselves. The idea that invisible organisms so small they could not be seen even with the most careful eye might be responsible for sickness was radical. Pasteur dared to look closer, to believe that nature's smallest creations might hold the answers to its greatest dangers. His discoveries bridged the invisible and the visible, linking the world of microorganisms to the reality of human survival. The change began quietly, with the study of fermentation. Pasteur's work on the processes that turned grape juice into wine, or milk into sour curds, seemed at first like a matter of chemistry, not medicine. Yet what he uncovered would alter the foundations of both. He demonstrated that fermentation was not a purely chemical reaction, but the result of living organisms acting in specific ways. Each microbe had a purpose, a pattern, and a consequence. This revelation was monumental. It meant that life, even in its tiniest forms, had structure and order. The same principle, Pasteur suspected, applied to disease. He proposed a bold idea. If microscopic life could spoil wine, could it not also spoil the human body? This simple question became the seed of a revolution. His germ theory of disease challenged the medical doctrines of his time, which blamed illness on bad air, imbalances of the body's humors, or divine punishment. For centuries, doctors treated symptoms while ignoring causes. Pasteur's insight shifted the focus from guesswork to investigation, from symptom to source. It was as if a curtain had been lifted from the eyes of medicine, revealing a world that had always existed but had never been seen. His work soon moved beyond theory. Pasteur applied his discoveries to real problems faced by real people. When the French silk industry faced collapse due to mysterious infections in silkworms, he used his microscope not just as a tool of observation, but as a weapon of protection.
The tensile strength
Through
is
careful
overcome
study,
right at the center,
he identified
causing
the
a
parasitic
catastrophic
agents
failure.
causing the devastation and taught farmers how to detect and prevent contamination. His guidance revived the industry and saved countless livelihoods. This was science made tangible, knowledge put to work for the good of society. From there, the implications of his discoveries began to touch every part of human life. Pasteur showed that sterilization could prevent contamination, that boiling, cleaning, and heating could protect both food and health. Out of this realization came pasteurization, a process so practical that it became a cornerstone of modern safety. The simple act of heating milk or wine to kill harmful microbes changed how people ate and drank, and how they thought about purity and preservation. It was no longer fate that decided who fell ill from spoiled food. It was knowledge and prevention. The ripple effect of this discovery spread quickly. In hospitals,
Memories
the old
fade,
practices of surgery and
feelings
childbirth,
remain.
where instruments were rarely
past
cleaned
is
and
never
infection
truly gone.
was accepted as
Memories
inevitable,
fade,
were questioned.
but the
Pasteur's
feeling
research inspired
remains.
surgeons like Joseph Lister to apply antiseptic methods, reducing death rates dramatically. The world of medicine began to awaken to a new reality. Disease could be controlled, not just endured. Each discovery from Pasteur's laboratory became a brick in the foundation of modern healthcare. His influence extended beyond the medical field. Pasteur reshaped the very way people thought about cleanliness and safety. Hygiene became a public value, not merely a personal habit. The understanding that invisible microbes could spread through touch, air, and water led to changes in sanitation, public health policy, and even architecture. Cities began building sewage systems, hospitals adopted sterilization, and households learned to boil water and wash hands. The impact of his discoveries reached from the grand halls of science to the simplest kitchens and cradles. In every corner of society, life became subtly different because of Louis Pasteur. The fear of disease, though still real, was now paired with the power of prevention. People learned that health was not only a gift, but a responsibility, something that could be protected through knowledge and care. Pasteur's work transformed medicine from a practice of reaction into one of anticipation. Instead of waiting for illness to strike, humanity began to think about how to stop it before it began. But this transformation did not come easily. Many resisted Pasteur's ideas, finding it difficult to abandon centuries of belief. His opponents called him reckless, claiming that his theories were speculative, his methods unorthodox. Yet, as he continued to produce undeniable results, skepticism slowly gave way to respect. His discoveries survived every challenge because they were grounded in proof.
The evidence clearly
in
shows the defendant was
undeniable
present.
evidence
Objection,
of
Your Honor.
observation
Speculation.
and
Sustained.
experiment.
Stick to the facts.
In a
As I
single
was saying, the
lifetime,
evidence confirms his
Pasteur
presence.
had
Your
redrawn
Honor,
the
the
boundaries
evidence
of
clearly
medicine.
shows intent. My
The
client was
invisible
nowhere near
world
the
he
scene.
revealed gave
Order in the
humanity
court. The
new
objection is
tools
sustained.
and new hope. Diseases that had once seemed divine punishment now had earthly explanations. Healing no longer depended solely on faith or chance, but on understanding and prevention. Pasteur's discoveries did not simply improve medicine, they changed what medicine was. They turned it into a science precise, predictive, and purposeful. The greatest power of his discoveries, however, was their universality. They belonged not only to scientists or doctors, but to everyone. Every person who drank a safe glass of milk, every mother who boiled water for her child, every doctor who sterilized an instrument was, knowingly or not, a participant in the world Pasteur had helped create. His science became part of daily life, woven into its smallest routines. Louis Pasteur did not merely add knowledge to the world, he changed the rhythm of existence. He gave humanity a way to live with less fear and more understanding, a way to protect itself not through mystery, but through method. His discoveries, born from curiosity and hardened by perseverance, reshaped not only medicine, but the very idea of health. They built a bridge between knowledge and life itself, a bridge that, even today, carries us safely across the unseen threats of the world. The world that emerged from Louis Pasteur's discoveries was not merely healthier, it was more self-aware. His ideas had opened a window into the invisible mechanisms of life, changing not just how doctors healed, but how humanity thought about existence itself. The connection between science and everyday life, once fragile, had become unbreakable. Pasteur had proven that knowledge could be both practical and profound, that it could touch the smallest acts of daily routine while shaping the grand destiny of civilization. In the decades following his greatest achievements, Pasteur's influence began to ripple across continents. Laboratories in Germany, Britain, and America took up his methods, building upon his discoveries with relentless enthusiasm. Young scientists who had once read about his experiments began replicating and expanding them, discovering new microbes and creating new vaccines. The germ theory of disease became a cornerstone of biology and medicine. What had begun as one man's hypothesis in a modest French laboratory became a universal language of science. Everyday life was quietly transformed. The milk that once carried the threat of tuberculosis became safe through pasteurization. Hospitals, once notorious for infections, turned into places of healing rather than risk. Midwives, surgeons, and nurses adopted practices inspired by Pasteur's insistence on cleanliness and sterilization. The child who washed his hands before eating, the family who boiled their water, and the farmer who vaccinated his livestock. All were living testaments to the reach of Pasteur's discoveries. The invisible world he revealed had made itself visible in the behavior of an entire society. Pasteur had reshaped not only medicine, but also the relationship between science and the public. Before his time, scientific work often remained locked within the confines of academia, distant from the lives of ordinary people. Pasteur broke that boundary. His discoveries spoke directly to human needs, health, safety, and survival. He showed that science could serve humanity, not merely describe it.
The essence of
Through
the good
his
life,
efforts,
my friends,
the scientist became not a remote scholar, but a guardian of life. The walls between the laboratory and the home began to dissolve. This transformation was also moral in nature. Pasteur believed that science was a form of duty, that those who possessed knowledge had an obligation to use it for the benefit of all. His laboratory became a sanctuary of service. He often said, "Science knows no country, because knowledge belongs to humanity and is the torch which illuminates the world." These words captured the essence of his philosophy. I believe that discovery is meaningless unless it improves the human condition. This vision guided not only his work, but also the work of generations who followed him. Vaccination, born from his experiments with anthrax and rabies, became one of the greatest legacies of his life. The concept that the body could be taught to defend itself against disease was revolutionary. Through his vaccine for rabies, Pasteur turned terror into triumph. Parents who once watched helplessly as their children died from animal bites now had hope. Communities began to believe that science could outwit nature's cruelties. The success of his vaccines inspired a movement that continues to this day, protecting millions of lives each year from diseases that once ravaged entire populations. Yet, the impact of his discoveries extended even further. Pasteur's principles reshaped industry and agriculture as much as medicine. Breweries, dairies, and food producers adopted his methods to ensure quality and safety. Governments created health departments and laboratories dedicated to public hygiene. Education systems began teaching the importance of microbes, sanitation, and vaccination. Pasteur had not only reshaped medicine, he had given birth to a culture of awareness, a civilization built on the understanding that life could be preserved through science. In homes across Europe and beyond, new habits took root. Clean water, fresh air, and sanitary practices became cornerstones of modern living. The simple acts of boiling, scrubbing, and sterilizing became rituals of protection. Mothers learned to guard their children not through superstition, but through hygiene. Doctors approached their patients not as victims of fate, but as individuals who could be saved through knowledge. Pasteur's discoveries had quietly rewritten the rules of everyday life, changing behaviors that had endured for centuries. It is easy, in the modern age, to forget the magnitude of this transformation. We live in a world where pasteurized milk and vaccines are taken for granted, where cleanliness is a basic expectation. But before Pasteur, these ideas were not common sense. They were revolutionary. He had changed the very definition of what it meant to be healthy, and in doing so, changed what it meant to be human. Health was no longer just the absence of disease. It was a state that could be built, protected, and shared. Pasteur's discoveries also reshaped how society understood the connection between individual and collective well-being. He showed that health was not a solitary matter, but a shared responsibility. The act of vaccination, of sterilization, of washing one's hands, all were contributions to the safety of others. He introduced the idea that science could bind humanity together, that progress in medicine was not for one person or one nation, but for all. This idea laid the foundation for modern public health, where community and compassion walk hand in hand with research and reason. Even as he aged, Pasteur remained devoted to the mission that had defined his life. Though illness often confined him to a chair, his mind never ceased to explore. He oversaw the establishment of the Pasteur Institute in 1888, an institution dedicated to the study of infectious diseases and the training of future scientists. It became a living monument to his belief that knowledge should serve humanity. From this institute would come new discoveries, new vaccines, new understandings of bacteria and viruses that would carry his legacy forward. To this day, the name Pasteur remains synonymous with the spirit of scientific service. Through his discoveries, the boundaries of medicine expanded from the sick room to the street, from hospitals to homes. He had given humanity the power to shape its own destiny against disease. His methods taught that life could be preserved through awareness and discipline, and that science was not merely the pursuit of truth, but the art of protection. In every breath of clean air, in every sip of safe water, in every cure that prevents suffering, his spirit endures. Louis Pasteur's discoveries did more than reshape medicine. They redefined the rhythm of modern life. They replaced fear with foresight, uncertainty with understanding, and fatalism with faith and reason. The principles he revealed became the silent guardians of civilization, working behind the scenes in hospitals, schools, and homes. The world he helped to build is one where knowledge safeguards existence, a world where the simplest act of hygiene, the smallest dose of vaccine, carries within it the echo of his genius. In the quiet strength of his legacy, we see how deeply one mind can influence the life of all mankind. Pasteur's discoveries continue to breathe through every generation,
As the
reminding
eclipse
us
reached
that
totality,
science,
these
when
stars
guided
near
by
the sun were
compassion,
observed.
is
Their
not a
positions
distant
shifted
pursuit,
precisely as
but a
predicted
living
by
bridge
Einstein.
between discovery
Blasphemy!
and humanity. He reshaped
He
medicine,
defies the
yes,
church!
but more profoundly, he reshaped the way humanity lives, thinks, and hopes. The bridge between mind and muscle, as seen in the life of Louis Pasteur, represents the unity of thought and action. The idea that intellect alone is powerless without the strength to apply it.
Good heavens, look at
Pasteur's
that.
genius was not confined to theory. It was made
My God,
real
it's full of
through tireless
stars.
labor, sleepless nights, and unshakable perseverance. His mind conceived the principles that would change medicine forever, but it was his muscle, his effort, his hands at work over the microscope, his endurance in the face of doubt, that turned those ideas into reality. In him, the delicate balance between imagination and discipline became visible, and through that balance, progress was born. Every breakthrough he achieved began as a question, a spark of intellect that refused to fade. But the answers did not come easily. They were carved out through endless repetition, failed experiments, and quiet determination. Pasteur understood that discovery was not a sudden flash of inspiration, but a slow and deliberate process, built by patience and effort. His work in fermentation, vaccination, and germ theory all demanded precision, physical resilience, and the willingness to continue when others gave up. The muscle of his will matched the depth of his intellect, creating a harmony that defined his achievements. The connection between mind and muscle in Pasteur's story also symbolizes a greater truth about human progress. Knowledge without application remains only potential, while strength without understanding leads to blind effort. Pasteur united these forces. His intellect allowed him to see what others could not, the unseen world of microorganisms shaping life and disease, while his dedication turned that vision into methods and cures that touched millions. He transformed invisible theories into visible change. demonstrating that progress depends not just on the brilliance of thought, but on the endurance to bring thought to life. There were moments when his body began to fail him, when paralysis limited his movements and pain slowed his pace. But even then, his mind drove him forward. The physical weakness that might have ended another man's work only deepened his resolve. It was as though his intellect commanded his remaining strength to continue, refusing to surrender to limitation. The bridge between his mind and muscle became stronger, not weaker, because it was built on purpose rather than physical power. In every field of human endeavor, this connection remains the heartbeat of advancement. The scientist at the bench, the artist with the brush, the worker building a structure, all rely on the union of intellect and effort. Pasteur's life showed that genius is not simply a gift of the mind, but a discipline of the body. His legacy reminds us that ideas change the world only when courage and perseverance give them form. The mind designs the path, but the muscle walks it. Together, they create progress, and it is in that unity that the true spirit of Louis Pasteur lives on. Louis Pasteur's work on germs was more than a scientific breakthrough. It was a turning point in the story of humanity's fight against disease. Before his discoveries, illness was a mystery, often blamed on bad air or divine will. People lived and died without understanding why. Pasteur refused to accept that explanation. With a microscope and an unshakable belief in reason, he revealed a hidden world that had always surrounded us, a world of microscopic life capable of both destruction and salvation. His germ theory of disease transformed medicine from a practice of guessing into a science of knowing. Through long, painstaking experiments, Pasteur proved that microorganisms were responsible for decay and infection. When he showed that heating could kill these microbes and prevent spoilage, the idea of pasteurization was born. What began as a method to save wine and milk soon became a principle of health and safety across the world. Every drop of clean milk, every sterile instrument, every safe surgical room traces its roots to his discovery. He gave humanity the power to protect itself not through prayer or chance,
Galileo,
but
writing
through
letters
knowledge
at night
and control.
by candle flame,
The invisible
hands
enemy had
trembling,
finally been
slow
seen,
motion capture.
and seeing it meant we could fight
The
it.
universe is not
But the
bound by
path to
our
acceptance
limited
was
perception
not
of
easy.
time.
Many
It must
doctors and
connect
scholars
here,
dismissed
somehow.
Pasteur's theory, unable to abandon centuries of tradition. They clung to old beliefs, claiming that disease came from within the body or from foul air. Pasteur met this resistance not with anger but with proof. He invited skeptics to witness his experiments, showing that sterile solutions remained pure until exposed to airborne microbes. Over and over, the evidence spoke louder than words. Slowly, the walls of disbelief began to crumble, and the germ theory became the cornerstone of modern medicine. The power of Pasteur's work extended beyond the laboratory. By understanding germs, he changed how people lived. Hygiene, sterilization, and vaccination became new weapons against suffering. Hospitals transformed their procedures, surgeons began cleaning their instruments, and entire cities improved sanitation. Even the smallest gestures, washing hands, boiling water, keeping wounds clean, became acts of protection born from his discoveries. The theory that began as an abstract idea became part of everyday existence, shaping the way families cared for themselves and communities protected each other. Pasteur's understanding of germs also carried a message about humanity's relationship with the natural world. He revealed that life is interconnected in ways we cannot always see, that health and disease depend on invisible balances. His work taught humility as much as it taught power, the humility to respect nature's complexity, and the power to safeguard life through knowledge. By uncovering the truth of germs, Pasteur gave the world more than a theory. He gave it control over its own fate. He turned fear into understanding and transformed medicine into a science of prevention. Through his vision, humanity learned that the smallest forces can shape the greatest destinies. Louis Pasteur's experiments were not just acts of discovery, they were demonstrations of how knowledge, once earned, could become a force strong enough to protect humanity. He believed that every experiment, every observation, carried within it the potential to strengthen life itself. The idea that understanding the natural world could make people safer, healthier, and more resilient was at the heart of his work. He did not see science as distant or abstract, but as a living tool, a means by which the human mind could transform fragility into strength. Through his research, he proved that knowledge was not simply the accumulation of facts. It was the muscle of civilization, capable of defending humankind from its oldest enemies. In the quiet of his laboratory, Pasteur sought answers not only to questions of chemistry and biology, but to questions of survival. His studies on fermentation, germs, and disease all pointed to the same truth. Ignorance made humanity weak, while understanding made it strong. When he showed that heating milk could prevent illness, he was not just preserving food, he was preserving life. When he discovered that vaccination could stop the spread of deadly diseases like anthrax and rabies, he gave people the ability to resist what had once seemed inevitable. Each revelation added another layer to humanity's armor against the unknown. Pasteur's experiments were a lesson in courage as much as in science. He faced failures, skepticism, and exhaustion, but his commitment to truth never wavered. He believed that even the smallest piece of knowledge had the power to create great change if applied with persistence and compassion. His methods were guided by precision, his reasoning by patience, and his motivation by empathy for human suffering. It was this combination that turned his discoveries into a foundation for modern medicine. The strength that emerged from his work was not only physical but moral. A strength born from the belief that understanding life's mysteries was a responsibility, not a privilege. The world that benefited from his discoveries became more self-reliant and less fearful. Communities learned that disease could be controlled, that prevention was possible, and that the keys to health lay in the discipline of science. Farmers protected their animals, families protected their food, and doctors protected their patients, all because Pasteur had taught them how. Knowledge gave them confidence where once there had been despair. The invisible threats that had haunted humanity for centuries could now be seen, studied, and stopped. In every sense, Pasteur proved that the pursuit of knowledge is an act of empowerment. It strengthens not only the body, but the spirit of civilization. Through his experiments, humanity learned to replace fear with understanding and superstition with science. The world became stronger because one man dared to ask questions that others feared and to seek answers that served everyone. Pasteur's legacy is the enduring truth that knowledge, when guided by purpose, has the power to fortify the very essence of life. Louis Pasteur's life is a testament to the power of perseverance. In discipline, he understood that genius alone could not change the world. It was sustained effort, tireless labor, and steadfast commitment that turned ideas into reality. His dedication to science was not measured in hours or accolades, but in the quiet, relentless pursuit of understanding. Day after day, he devoted himself to meticulous observation, repeated experimentation, and careful documentation. It was this discipline, this exercise of the muscle of persistence, that allowed him to transform theories into discoveries that would save millions of lives. Every step of Pasteur's work demanded more than intellect. Studying microorganisms, experimenting with fermentation, and developing vaccines required focus, precision, and an extraordinary level of patience.
Galileo's telescope,
Many of his
floating
experiments
through space,
failed at first,
diagrammatically
some
to
repeatedly,
Jupiter.
but failure never deterred him. He viewed setbacks not as defeats, but as information clues guiding him closer to truth. His discipline meant that no obstacle was insurmountable, no experiment too small, and no detail too minor to be overlooked. In this way, the strength of his mind was mirrored by the strength of his dedication. Pasteur's work on rabies illustrates this commitment vividly. Developing a vaccine for a disease that had terrified humanity for centuries was not a task to be rushed. It demanded years of painstaking research, countless trials with animals, and careful refinement of techniques. Yet Pasteur remained unwavering. Even when faced with the moral weight of testing on humans, his disciplined methodology allowed him to act safely and decisively. The eventual success of the rabies vaccine was not the result of a single brilliant insight, but the culmination of years of focused, disciplined effort, each step guided by careful reasoning and unwavering purpose. This dedication extended beyond laboratory walls. Pasteur trained assistants, guided students, and shared his methods widely, ensuring that his knowledge could be applied and expanded by others. He recognized that lasting impact required teaching others to adopt the same rigorous standards he upheld. His discipline was contagious, fostering a culture of careful observation, systematic experimentation, and ethical responsibility that would endure long after his own lifetime. His perseverance also carried a moral dimension. Pasteur believed that those who possess knowledge had a duty to use it for the benefit of humanity. Each day spent in research was not merely for personal achievement, but for the potential to alleviate suffering and save lives. His discipline was intertwined with purpose, creating a life in which intellect, effort, and compassion worked together seamlessly. It was a vivid demonstration that true strength lies not only in the mind, but in the consistent, disciplined application of knowledge toward a higher goal. Through Louis Pasteur, we see that discovery is not an event, but a process, built on repeated effort, careful attention, and the refusal to yield to difficulty. His life teaches that talent alone cannot change the world. It must be matched by discipline, persistence, and a willingness to labor for the greater good. In every laboratory, every classroom, and every field where his methods are applied, Pasteur's disciplined pursuit of knowledge continues to inspire, reminding us that greatness is forged as much in dedication as in brilliance. Louis Pasteur's legacy endures as a profound example of how the fusion of thought and action shapes the course of human progress. His life demonstrates that discovery alone is not enough. It must be coupled with the courage and determination to apply it. The bridge he built between intellect and effort extends beyond the laboratory. It serves as a model for anyone striving to make a lasting impact. Through his work, Pasteur showed that the true measure of achievement is not simply what one knows, but what one does with that knowledge. From the earliest experiments on fermentation to the development of vaccines, Pasteur consistently transformed abstract ideas into tangible benefits for society. His scientific theories were never confined to papers or lectures. They were tested, refined, and applied to solve real-world problems. This approach gave his discoveries enduring significance, turning knowledge into tools capable of saving lives. He understood that insight is inert unless paired with action, and he dedicated himself to ensuring that his findings moved from understanding to implementation. Pasteur's determination inspired a shift in how science interacts with society. Before his time, research often remained isolated, disconnected from the lives it could affect. Pasteur bridged that gap, showing that the responsibility of discovery includes its practical application. His rabies vaccine, for instance, did not merely prove a scientific theory. It saved the life of a young boy, Joseph Meister, and by extension, demonstrated to the world that science could directly combat human suffering. This act exemplifies the principle that knowledge becomes transformative only when courage, dedication, and action accompany it. The legacy of Pasteur also lies in the example he set for generations of scientists, physicians, and ordinary people. He embodied the principle that intellect must be harnessed through effort and discipline. His work ethic, meticulous methodology, and refusal to surrender to failure illustrate that progress is built on persistent labor, not sudden inspiration alone. Each experiment, no matter how small or painstaking, was part of a larger purpose: to improve the health and well-being of humanity. In this way, his life serves as a blueprint for combining thinking and doing in a way that creates real-world impact. Moreover, Pasteur's achievements highlight the broader implications of bridging knowledge and action. By translating understanding into methods for prevention and treatment, he fundamentally changed how society approached disease. His work encouraged public health measures, hygiene practices, and vaccination programs that continue to protect millions worldwide. The bridge he built between theory and application became a foundation not only for medicine, but for public trust in science, demonstrating that intellectual insight carries its greatest value when it serves humanity. In essence, Pasteur's life teaches that genius is not measured solely by innovation, but by the ability to turn ideas into reality. His discoveries endure because he acted on them, transforming science into a force for life and progress. Through his example, we learn that the fusion of mind and effort, thought and action, is what enables humanity to confront challenges, overcome obstacles, and build a safer, healthier world. Pasteur's legacy is a living reminder that knowledge alone is incomplete. It gains its true power when paired with the courage and discipline to use it.